so lit. Damn, that be so lit. Damn, that be so lit. She drop it on the pole and bust it to a split. Look at how she twerking, like she on my dick. Damn, that be so lit. Damn, that be so lit. Damn. Tell them hating.
Alright, y'all, it's the coldest of them all, aka Mike Ice. Y'all tuned in on your dial. If you subscribe to your OnlyFans or your Pornhub, welcome. You could have been chillaxing anywhere on the podcast, but you chose to chillax with me, Mike Ice, aka the Chocolate Chillaxation. Before we get this interview started, I want to say a forever legacy to the homie Takeoff from Migos. Gone in flesh, but in the 28 years that he did live, he left a legacy that's going to continue to exist and be an inspiration to future ancestors and future people that's coming up in this next era. So, with that being said, I present to y'all the first ever episode of the Lit Juice City Channel podcast. Now, on a regular, we will be doing this live from via a hot tub, but due to technical difficulties, didn't happen, so fuck it, the show got to continue on. But, with that being said, my first guest is how they say one of a kind, but nah, she's a queen of a kind. A queen of spade at that. I would like to welcome Lady Anaconda.
Hello, handsome. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for joining me in bed.
Thank you for inviting me to the bed since we couldn't be in the hot tub, though. But it is what it is. We're going to continue from here on. So.
Next best thing, exactly.
Exactly. So, first question is, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm good.
You good?
I'm chilling. I'm chillaxing.
You she chillaxing with the chocolate chillaxation himself, though. You feel me? So, since my audience and my demographic really is trying to get into detail and knowing who Lady Anaconda is, we're going to take it back from the beginning, if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind at all.
So,
I mean, my lifestyle kind of started back in college.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I first discovered that there was a lot of guys, you can call them cuckolds, cucks. They're submissive in nature, and they just wanted to hear all the details about my escapades, as it were, with the sexy black kings that I was meeting on campus.
All right, before we get into that, though, that's going to be the interesting part. You know, it's always the beginning for everything. So, we want to know, where did it all start for Lady Anaconda? Originally, like, where's your origin rate from?
I'm from New England area. I went to a big university out there. So just like a mostly white town is where I'm from. And
what was life for you coming up?
Well, my parents were divorced. I worked in a family business. So kind of just going to school. I was doing journalism, you know, a swimmer. Have a lot of brothers, like big family.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you know, kind of a privileged little white girl life, if you catch my drift. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I learned to work hard from a young age, you know, like I said, working in a family restaurant and everything, but I mean, just working hard in school, looking forward to college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and just kind of tunnel vision, I guess, with that for a long time. Not really realizing what else is out there in the world.
Right. So, growing up, was your family, like, you know, making the transition to the interracial lifestyle? Was your family, were they known to be prejudiced, biased, or racist? Or
certain members, yeah. Like, I will say a lot of my family is kind of from a liberal area, you know, definitely wanted me to be respectful of all people, no matter who they were. But there were certain people in my family, specifically certain white males, like uncles, etc., who were very openly racist, very openly, like, trying to defend being this white man. And by the time I was, like, 10 years old, I was telling them off at, you know, Christmas dinner. Like, calling them out for being, you know, just racist and ridiculous and disrespectful.
Damn, so you had a quick
So
your mind was already made up at 10?
Because my parents were teaching me better than that. So I was like, you're not going to sit here and talk crazy and think that nobody's going to challenge you on it. So, like, I may have not been completely aware of what it meant, but I knew that they were being inappropriate and somebody needed to call them on their shit.
Can you recall a specific time where you had an altercation where you stood your ground
it was
with
like
a specific family member?
Two uncles and my grandfather were trying to talk shit about immigrants, like, specifically, and one of my cousins was talking about how he wanted to be in the Coast Guard and pulling immigrants out of the water and bringing them back to where they're coming from and this kind of thing. And I was just like, you're telling me right now that you're threatened by other people, like that you feel like you don't have an advantage except for one that you stole to be able to, like, handle yourself. Like, you need to oppress others to feel powerful yourself. I was like, do you realize how weak that is? And I was like in middle school talking to them like this. To me, it was obvious. Like, to me, your insecurity
So they had
was
already
obvious.
displayed, like, what is it, beta maleism?
You're damn right, beta maleism. That's what I mean. It's like I didn't have words, like I didn't have the verbiage for it at the time, but that was beta male energy, 100%. And I was like, why are you so insecure? Why are you so threatened, by anybody else? Like, are you that aware that it's your privilege alone that gives you any power? Like, wow, you're pathetic.
Right. The quote, the legendary Willie D of the Ghetto Boys, and he brought up a real legitimate ass point in his podcast. He said the prime example of the white males that would shoot up the guy that shot up the church and the guy that shot up the grocery store in Buffalo to spark some type of segregation or race riot. And they're talking about they want white supremacy. That ain't white supremacy, man. That's showing a characteristic of male betaism.
Yeah.
You're not what do you call it? That's showing you're inferior.
Yeah. Their weakness is making them act out, and they're trying to masquerade it as supremacy. And it's like, if you look at the details, it's real obvious how insecure and how just weak, like you're saying, just how weak they really are.
And when you do shit like that, that's kind of like, you pretty much giving up on life when you do shit like
it's like you threatened by everybody being on an even playing field, and that means that you know that you can't compete. Like, that means that you feel in your soul that you don't measure up.
Right.
So you have to try and manipulate the rules. And because otherwise, we're going to get into it, but a lot of people try to act like what I do is as a professional femdom, professional cuckoldress, like, it's consensual. Right. You know what I'm saying? These guys are coming to me because like a white guilt kind of leading them to seek me out. Like, they're trying to rationalize with their feelings, like that same type of beta male energy, but they're not trying to be this self-centered, oppressive, racist piece of shit, basically. Like, they're like, what can I do to be aware of this part of myself, but be better? You know what I'm saying? Like, not just an ally. There's people certainly that aren't in the kink world, and they try to be allies and educate themselves, but they want to kind of take that submissive nature and kind of do something with it, like channel it somewhere, acknowledge themselves. So, again, we can get into it, but that's a conversation I have about the incel culture.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of these guys, they're shooting places up. They got like an incel kind of nature to them, where they're like, they hate everybody. They hate themselves. They hate women. They hate, people that don't look like them. They just,
it's just
they don't understand where they fit.
There's an inferior mind state when you do shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
they don't know where the world is trying to tell them they're almighty, and they don't feel that.
And they don't feel that. And I'm
so they can't rationalize with it.
And they can't rationalize it, so
Yep.
they do some super sucker shit to...
Yeah. Kink education could really help a lot of people, really, truly, to understand that, we've been oppressed with this mentality of thinking that, like these beta males thinking that they have to be these big, powerful, alpha, ultra masculine, and it's like, but if they don't connect to that, then they're like mad. They're like, why am I not that way? Like, why do I not, feel that secure in myself? Why do I not feel like I could lead somebody, whether it's a woman or anybody else? Like, why am I so mad? Why am I so awkward?
Right.
It's like, there's a place for you too. You just got to be a little more humble.
Definitely. So we're gonna take it from the transition from the home to the school. What was school life like for Lady Anaconda?
Wild. I got my double degree and everything. Like, I went to my classes, but in terms of socially, I felt like I was finally around men versus like the white boys that I went to high school with, and were so easy to manipulate. Like, that's like the main thing that I'll say is that, like, I also got in touch more with my submissive side being around black men when I was in college. because it felt natural to be submissive around them. Whereas I'd never even thought about, like I was like, I was dating this like white football player in high school, and I was like choking him out when I was fucking him. You know what I mean? Like I was slapping him and shit. I was making him be late for work just to use him. But like when I was finally around black men, I was like, oh, I want to serve them. It was like such a flip in the energy. And like I said, like the white boys on my floor would just be like, oh my God, you were with that black guy last night? Like, what was he like? And I'm just like, are you sure you're straight? Like, it sounds like you're really interested in the details right now. You gonna ask me how big his dick was next? Like, just, them revealing themselves. It was a really interesting, experience for me to go from.
Now, did you catch flack from your female counterpart classmates for shit like this?
Or
were they like admire, like, oh my God, you did?
Both. Because some girls are still so stuck in basically slut shaming themselves that they are threatened by any woman that's like, I do what I want. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just like, well, I feel like I can't do what I want, so she shouldn't be able to do what she wants. That type of BS of just trying to. And I mean, that goes for a lot of things, that we try to make other people do what we think we have to do, and we're threatened by anybody else being free and being so, honest and in touch with who they are and what they want to do and how they want to live, So both. I had hoe friends, and we loved life together. We were going on dick field trips together.
Damn.
Yeah, that was, hoe friends are the best friends, like, for real. Like, they got you back, you got their back, you're able to go and meet up with some cool guys together and switch off and share and...
Also, y'all
flip.
Flip.
Yeah. It's so much better than, like, the petty energy, the jealousy and the possessiveness. Like, for instance, there'd be some girls that would be, like, possessive of certain guys on campus that you knew were not committed to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're sleeping around and he's sleeping around, but you're going to try and act like your other friend shouldn't sleep with him, it's like, y'all ain't dating.
Right.
You gotta, so it's just a world that you gotta kind of be aware
just
of.
Just a cutty,
reality.
just a cutty buddy. It's cool.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. It's like, everything's cool. It's cool,
right.
like, don't
you
be
young,
trying to...
wild, and free.
You don't possess him. He don't possess you.
Right, exactly.
If y'all are dating, you're dating, and that's a whole different situation. You're not exclusive. So,
exactly.
But yeah, I met all sorts of different women, and they had all sorts of different personalities about what I was... Most of them just wanted to hear my stories, for sure.
Right.
From the beginning, most people were like, wow, you're going to be open about, like, that's actually really interesting. Like, tell me more. So, all over the board, for sure.
When did you get in touch with your whole wild, like,
Freshman year.
High school or college?
College. I was sexually active a little bit in high school, but nobody was really doing it for me. I felt like I could just, use them as toys, versus when I got to college, I felt like I was... the way I kind of put it is that, like, black men made me feel both, like, empowered but humbled at the same time. Like, I felt like
So you had confidence and you were submissive, all in one take, right?
Yeah, they didn't, like, intimidate me in a way that made me less comfortable or confident in myself, but it also, like, I had no interest to try and dominate them the way that I had dominated guys prior to that.
So was it a physical or was it a mental intellect that...
It was definitely both. Like, I had, like, men that were, like, my mentors in a lot of ways, because I can definitely attribute a lot of my personality now to having that kind of guidance and respect for, like, one of the things I fight against today is, like, I don't think you should call on yourself a Q.O.S, a Queen of Spades, if you're just using black men as a dildo and then just
we're gonna get into that because
be on your way type
like
shit.
I just
That's
said,
disrespectful. I don't like that.
Is like right, and it's a blind it's a double-edged sword, because you got one they're really sincere about this shit.
Yeah.
And then you got the other that's just they're culture vultures.
Yeah. And it's like, that whole thing too, that I'm not really in the cuckolding lifestyle, the way it's been, like, this white safe space where it's all about the white couple and the white husband and what he wants and what he's fetishizing, and the wife being like, oh, I get to have, like, better sex with, like, hotter men, like, yeah, I'll go along with this, no problem, but they're not necessarily finding their dominance or their voice or their personality or like their submission or their loyalty or their respect for the black man himself. It's just like all about the sex, his dick, okay, come over, and then you leave, and then me and my husband go back to our life, and we don't carry any sort of, you know, accountability to be better people. It's just all about us. So, you know, that was never really my lifestyle.
And in a lot of ways,
I didn't have a white guy calling the shots for me,
right,
or anything, you know. So,
and a lot of ways, that shit too, what you were just stating, that's kind of like reverse racism as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you feel me? Like,
yeah,
they'll be attracted to the guy, like, you know, physical appearance and sexually, but they don't give a fuck. The guy.
Did you even pay for his gas? Like, are you worried? You know,
right.
are you doing anything to like actually submit to? You know, you're gonna talk about, oh, he's so superior, oh, he's so superior, and as soon as, you know, everybody comes and shows over, you as this white man and even as this white woman, you want to be respected so much and regard. You know, you still want to hold on to your privileged position. Right. You know, more than anything else. And it's just, like I said, you need to be a lot more humble and a lot more realistic about where are these feelings coming from in the first place, you know?
Right, and I'm trying to give awareness to a lot more to black guys, like, that's doing this shit. Like, dude, you're being exploited and you don't even know it. Or you're being...
Realize your power.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Realize your power, absolutely.
You can't give... Like I say, my dick and my tongue is not for everybody.
Right.
You can't have my energy unless we really fucking around with the fuck around.
Yeah.
Nah, my shit ain't for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Is like set your own standards, 1,000%, and especially like if you're, you know, playing around with learning these different, you know, kinky environments and everything. You don't have to just do what somebody else wants. Like, oh, this is what I want. Okay, well, this is what I want. Right. The fuck, like I'm the one that you really want to be here. Like, who are you? And that's what, you know, I try to help women understand. It's like, even if that's your cuck husband, you're in charge. You're calling the shots. It's about you, like, not him. You know, and that's a movement itself. There's a lot of women now that are really trying to support and educate each other to be like, you need to respect the lover that you're with, this black king. Like, you need to respect him.
Right,
as much, if not more so, than the white cucky husband that's trying to use you as his, like, sex toy. Like, you know, his little sex puppet to, like, perform for him and this, that, and the other. It's like, gag him, tie him up, and put him in the corner and let him know that he's lucky to even be in the room. Because what even is he bringing to the table for real? You know what I'm saying? So it's...
Exactly.
There's a lot of moving parts to the whole thing. If I had known back then that I could, like, you know, get cucks to support black men financially just by listening to my stories beyond just directly, you know, like this cuck picking me up, driving me to my dick appointment, you know.
So basically you...
Paying for gas, paying for weed, paying for food, paying for
translation,
this, paying for that.
If you knew you had the power to pimp a cuckold, you would have been in this
I'd be the
lifestyle.
P. Diddy of this shit, like, already. Like, I'm telling you, like but yeah, it's just, I mean, a lot of women will tell you once they learn kind of their power as a dominant woman, especially. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like, there's plenty of women that play the manipulative game with being kind of in a more submissive, you know, like the sugar daddy thing, right? A lot of times those guys don't necessarily want to be dominated, but they're being manipulated, you know, so the woman is still, like, aware of her power. But, like, they will do, these guys that are submissive to women will do what the women want them, like, to do. Like, you just have to know your power to lead it the way that you know that you should or that you want to. You don't have to indulge, you know, the guy in what he says he wants. It's like, no, he wants to be in your presence. He wants to be, you know, associated with you in some way. Like, a part of, you know, all the sexy things you got going on, a part of all the fun shit that you got going on. He wants to be used by you. So you need to just know your powers. Like, I've had guys, they were donating thousands of dollars to Black Lives Matter because they wanted to talk to me. And that's what I told them to do. You give them a task, they do it, then you talk to them. I'm a proxy. Those are proxy cucks. You know.
Well, I mean, shit. I mean,
they want to submit to black men, but they're terrified, so they submit to me to submit to the black man through me. So it's a system. Right. That's what Q.O.S. is supposed to do, though. They're supposed to, you know,
so
not just benefit themselves.
Right. So basically, don't check for me unless you got a check for me.
Yeah. You want to get at me, cash at me. Absolutely.
Hey,
that's the mentality right
there. We're just saying.
Just letting them know.
So, okay, before you even get into this sexual escapades with the interracial shit, I know you had to like have a thing for watching porn.
A little bit. I'll be honest, like especially in college, I was living. Like I wasn't sitting around watching a lot of porn. Like I
So
literally,
you was to
I did
it.
my research later. Like
So you was to it.
because there was even some women that I didn't learn about till a lot later. Like I don't know, Spring Thomas, for instance, is like a well-known.
Yes, I know who that is.
But you would think the way that I talk,